So before we officially get started into today's lesson, please go ahead and multiply out these binomials. I suggest using the FOILing method. So when you go ahead and multiply them out, for the first one you should have gotten 6x squared plus negative 3x plus negative 9. And for the second one, you would have 4y squared plus 8y plus 3. So we talked about factoring yesterday, and we're going to talk about factoring again today. Today we're going to be adding in a coefficient in front of that ax squared. That really and truly is the only change, is adding in that coefficient. You'll notice that our process is going to stay pretty much the same as we go through the process. So to go ahead and factor this, the first thing I'm going to change is I'm obviously going to make that a plus negative 7. I'm going to make my diamond just like we have before. So we're going to go ahead and make our diamond. And if you remember, for the top of our diamond, we take the first and the last term of the trinomial, multiply them together, and our middle term goes on the bottom. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to get me positive 6, but when I add them, I end up with negative 7. And that's negative 6 and negative 1. Pulling it out of the diamond, first piece from the original problem, left-hand side of the diamond, if I can make it 2, and circle it, right-hand side. Oh, this is getting worse the more I write. And the last number in the original problem. So when I pull it out, I have 2x squared plus negative 6x plus negative 1x plus 3. I'm looking for a GCF. In these first two pieces, I can pull out a GCF of 2x. That leaves me with x minus 3. In order to get this second pair to match, that my inside parentheses match, I am going to pull a negative 1 out of the parentheses, which will leave me with a positive x minus 3. Final answer, 2x minus 1 and x minus 3. We do need to check by foiling. And when I FOIL that out, I get 2x squared. I end up with negative 7x, and negative 1, negative 3 gives me positive 3. That matches what I started with, so it does in fact check. Same thing here. I'm just going to walk through these two problems with you. So on the top, I'm going to have 12. On the bottom, we'll go negative 13. It's going to be negative 12 and negative 1. Pulling out of the diamond, I have 2x squared plus negative 12x plus negative 1x plus 6. The first two, I can pull out a 2x, leaving me with x minus 6. In my second grouping, I'm going to pull out a negative 1, which also leaves me with x minus 6. Find our answer, 2x minus 1 and x minus 6. Checking it, 2x. So 2x squared plus, that's going to give me negative 13x plus a positive 6. That matches, so it checks. Number 3, I have 20 on the top, negative 9 on the bottom. It's going to be a negative 5 and a negative 4. So 4x squared plus negative 4x plus negative 5x plus 5. First two, I'm going to pull a 4x out, leaving me with x plus 1. I'm going to pull a negative 5 out. That was a negative 4, so negative 1. And that's also going to leave me with x plus 1. 4x plus negative 5. And x plus negative 1. Distribute to check. 4x squared plus negative 9x plus 5. So my answer does in fact check. Example 2 is the exact same process. We're just moving the negative around. So I'm going to have negative 15 on the top, and I'm going to have 14 on the bottom. So that's going to give me 15 and negative 1. So 3n squared plus 15n plus negative 1n plus negative 5. I'm going to pull 3n out of the first two, leaving me with n plus 5. I'm going to pull a negative 1 out of the second set, leaving me with n plus 5. So I end up with 3n plus negative 1, and so n plus 5. Checking it, 3n squared, that is a negative 1, plus that would give me 15n and negative 1n, so that would be 14n, and plus negative 5, and that matches what I started with. Just so you can see, same thing down here, negative 12 on the top and 11. So negative 12 to get to positive 11 is going to be 12 and negative 1. So 4n squared plus 12n plus negative 1n plus negative 3. Pulling out a 4n will give me with n plus 3. And negative 1 will also give me n plus 3. Final answer, 4n plus a negative 1 and n plus 3. Foiling it, 4n squared plus negative 1n and 12n would give me 11n plus negative 3. Go ahead and try these two on your own and see how it goes. Using my diamond, I have 12 on the top, 8 on the bottom. This is going to be 6n2. 6n2. I'm going to switch to x's, so 3x squared plus 6x plus 2x plus 4. 3x gives me x plus 2. Pull a 2 out, that also gives me x plus 2. So 3x plus 2 and x plus 2, and that will check. Last one, I have negative 14 on the top, 13 on the bottom, so that's 14 and negative 1. So 2x squared plus 14x plus negative 1x plus negative 7. Pull out a 2x, that leaves me with x plus 7. Pull out a negative 1, that also leaves me with x plus 7. So 2x minus 1 and x plus 7. So your homework tonight is your basic worksheet. If you have any questions on it, as always, please feel free to let me know. You should be able to find it on the website. So the warm-up is asking you to go ahead and factor these. So go ahead and factor. In the first one, you should have ended up with 5x minus 1 and x minus 1. For number 2, sorry, I'm thinking in my head. So that'd be a 20 and a 9, so that would be 4 and 5. So 4x plus 5 and x plus 1. Yep. 4x plus 5 and x plus 1. And the last one, so let's see, 4 9s are 36. So I have negative 36 and 9. Negative 9. No, positive 9. Negative 36, positive 9. So my sides, that's going to give me positive 12 and 3. Negative 3. Positive 12 and negative 3. So in this last one, we had decided it was 12 and negative 3. So with the 12a, I can pull out a 4. So it's going to be 4a, and that would leave me with a plus 3, and it's going to be a minus 3. Yep, and that will check. So example 3, we did example 1 and 2 yesterday. This is the same type of idea. We're actually not going to factor the negative out of the equation. We're just going to work with it the same way we've been used to. So we're going to put negative 28 on the top now. We're going to put 12 on the bottom. That's going to give me 14 and negative 2. So negative 4x squared plus 14x plus negative 2x plus 7. I can pull a negative 2 out, and that's going to leave me with 2x plus 7. I'm off somewhere. Where am I off? When I pull the negative 2 out in front, that's going to give me a negative 7 inside of my parentheses. So in my second grouping, I'm going to pull out a negative 1. So final answer is negative 2x plus negative 1 and 2x plus negative 7. And when we go to FOIL this, we get negative 4x plus 12x plus positive 7. So it does in fact check. 2 of these for you to try. Again, I just want you to deal with the negative. So you're going to have a positive 12 on the top and a negative 13 on the bottom for the first one. So go ahead and try these, and then we'll come back together and go over the answers. So number 2, you should have gotten, whoop, I have no idea what that just did. I don't know, but I will just roll a new diamond. So I had positive 12 on the top and negative 13 on the bottom. Negative 12 and negative 1 would be the sides of my diamond. My final answer, once I pull it all out and factor everything. So you end up with negative 3x. Ooh. Negative 3x plus negative 1 and x plus 4. For the third one, you have positive 6 on the top and negative 5 on the bottom. Final answer will be negative 2y plus negative 3 and y plus 1. Here's 2 more. Go ahead, try them on your own. So in the first one, you would have positive 5 on the top. There's my 5 will write. And you'd have 6 on the bottom. It's going to give you 5 and 1 on the sides. Final answer, negative 5x plus 1 and x minus 1. The bottom one down here, you're going to have negative 6 on the top and negative 1 on the bottom. It's going to give you negative 3 and 2. Final answer, negative 3x plus 2 and x plus 1. So the whole point of being able to factor is actually to solve equations. And if you remember from before, in order to solve equations, we do need to make sure that it is set equal to 0. So I'm going to start and I'm going to make my diamond. So I'm going to have negative 70 on the top. And I'm going to have negative 3 on the bottom. This thing does not like to write curves very well. So negative 3. Multiply to get negative 70, add to get negative 3. It's going to be negative 10 and 7. When I pull it all out, I'm left with 2x plus 7 and x plus negative 5. These equal 0. So 2x plus 7 equals 0. And x minus 5 equals 0. So x equals 5. And x equals negative 7 over 2. You do need to check these. I'm running out of room, so I'm not going to check them. But you would plug 5 in and see if you get 0, and you'd plug negative 7 halves in and see if you get 0. In the second one, we have 8x squared minus 2x minus 3 equaling 0, because I need it to equal 0. When I factor it out, I get 2x plus 1 and 4x minus 3 equaling 0. Set each of those equal to 0, and you get x equaling positive 3 over 4 and negative 1/2. And again, you would just check those. We're actually going to skip that. We're going to skip that slide. We're going to skip that slide. And now we're at homework, which you should have in front of you. If you have any questions on the homework, as always, please come see me.